Hello, how may I help you?
Please help me. I just shot a man.
Could you please explain the situation further?
My wife was just attacked by him. Please come here and help me.
Do you need ambulance, fire truck, or police car?
Yes, I need everything.
That was the phone call received at 10 p.m. at our police station. I'm William, 47 years old, working as a police officer in Ohio. That evening, I was on duty with 2 colleagues. We received a report of a serious assault at a residence about 15 kilometers from the station. Immediately, myself and another colleague moved to that house. Upon arrival, the scene inside the house left us stunned. Under the floor, a man and a woman lay apart from each other. The woman had been attacked, her head severely disfigured. The man had 3 gunshot wounds to his forehead, blood still flowing. Bloodstains covered the floor and walls, yet to dry. The room was in disarray. A man around 40 years old sat on the sofa, holding a trembling and crying little girl about 6 years old. He wore a blood-stained sweatshirt, and his right arm was deeply torn. That was Henry, the husband of the attacked woman, and the one who had called the police. The medical staff began assessing the condition of Henry's wife and the other man. I asked Henry questions to gather information while my colleague observed the scene. Henry was visibly panicked when he saw us arrive. He kept asking if his wife was okay and begged the medical staff to save her. We tried to reassure Henry, promising to do our best, but looking at the grim reality, we knew both his wife and the other man were already dead. After Henry calmed down, he painfully recounted the whole story. Henry's family had a small gym in the basement. That Sunday afternoon, Henry was working out on the treadmill down in the basement. Suddenly, there was a loud noise on the roof. Henry rushed upstairs and called out his wife Martha's name, but she didn't respond. Entering the bedroom, Henry didn't find his wife anywhere, only his 6-year-old daughter lying on the bed. As Henry stepped into the living room, he was suddenly attacked by a man wielding a .30 axe. Reacting quickly, Henry managed to dodge and the axe swung down hard onto his right arm. After assessing the situation, Henry hastily retrieved the gun hidden in the drawer and fired 3 shots into the man's forehead in self-defense. Then he saw his wife lying on the floor with a horrified expression. Henry immediately called the police. Henry told us that the man who attacked his wife was named Isaac. I was surprised and asked how he knew the name of the man. Henry said that Isaac had harassed Martha several times before. The man named Isaac, 35 years old, lived in a mobile home and had no relatives other than his girlfriend who lived with him. As Martha's body was being taken away, I noticed that the couple's daughter kept screaming and looking at Henry with hatred in her eyes. The girl seemed like she wanted to run towards us and say something, but was restrained by Henry. He tightly held onto her arm, glaring at her fiercely. But I soon forgot about this detail as I focused on the case. The investigation into Isaac's background revealed prior allegations of domestic violence against women. Everything seemed clear-cut, yet the perpetrator was already deceased and the case was swiftly resolved. Henry was also acquitted of the murder charge on grounds of self-defense. However, Henry didn't stop there. He kept demanding justice, insisting that Isaac pay for taking Martha's life. Henry was seemingly deeply distraught over his wife's death, leading to some unusual actions. It was a swift but haunting case for me. Until 6 months after the case was closed, the police department received a phone call from a mysterious woman claiming to be a friend of Martha. She said she wanted to report the real murderer in Martha's case from 6 months prior. Immediately, arrangements were made for her to come to the police station and provide her statement. The girl was Keva. Keva asserted that the person who killed Martha was Henry, Martha's husband. Keva confessed that she and Henry had an affair while Martha was still alive. Henry planned to kill his wife and take possession of Martha's considerable wealth. He secretly investigated and discovered that Martha was having an affair. The daughter he cherished so much was actually the daughter of his wife and her lover. Henry shared his plan with Keva, hoping she would cooperate with him, but Keva adamantly refused. After being rejected by Keva, Henry shifted his focus to the man Isaac to manipulate him and frame him for the crime. Henry's plan unfolded perfectly according to what he had calculated. After Martha's death, he sold the house and bought a new one, living comfortably with the money he inherited from his wife. Keva revealed that she had wronged Martha by being involved with Henry. However, her conscience would never allow her to commit murder. Keva underwent psychological treatment for many months to be able to speak the truth. She urged us to quickly apprehend Henry because he might harm Martha's daughter. We arrived at the address provided by Keva and witnessed Martha's daughter being abused by a strange woman. The girl, with a face resembling her late mother's, cried loudly and begged for forgiveness from the unknown woman. Shortly after, Henry returned home and appeared shocked to see us. The cold-blooded man was living off the money of his deceased wife, along with his lover, who was 20 years younger than him. The case was reinvestigated, and Henry was sentenced to death for the first-degree murder. His accomplice received a 7-year prison sentence for child abuse. After everything, the one who suffered the most severe damage was still Martha's daughter. My name's Gail, 32 years old. I am a nurse practitioner in a clinic of the city of Omaha. I'm a single mother of a 7-year-old son, Alex. For 7 years, ever since Alex was born, I had not had a single good night's sleep. It's always the nightmare that I encountered every single night. The nightmare that brought me back to the horrifying accident 7 years ago. The cargo truck, flashing its high beams, coming right at me. The speed of the collision was truly out of this world. The concussive forced me in and out of consciousness, constantly shifted between crimson red of adrenaline surge and blackened tunnel vision. I'm slowly losing my grip on reality before the last minutes, throwing a glance at my husband before everything turned black. I was lucky to be alive. However, my husband wasn't. The day my husband finally passed away would also be the day my poor son Alex was born. It's like fate had cruelly made him an orphan before he was even born. Alex was a spitting image of his father. He's nimble, quick on his feet, and incredibly clever. However, raising Alex wasn't an easy task for me. He, as you can say it, was rather strange. You see, in his room was the miniatures of the creatures that I'd say wasn't very pretty or downright child-friendly at any bit. He constantly lived in his own world where there's monsters and demons, with the protagonist came to the rescue of such world. At one night when I was asleep, I suddenly felt a nightmare pounding hard upon my chest, smothering me. Jolted awake by a sudden huge shadow, I let out a loud scream. However, after settling down, I realized my son Alex, who told me he's just seen a demon. I hugged him tightly to console my son. After around 20 minutes, the drowsiness came to him and he fell asleep. Looking at my son's face, I thought of his father, my late husband, and couldn't contain my tears anymore. I wish he was still here, with Alex, with me, where I wouldn't be that alone in this world. The next morning, Alex was nowhere in sight. I came downstairs, making breakfast as usual before calling him down. After a while, Alex appeared up the stairs, his hand holding a twisted wooden toy. That'd be the demon slayer he'd just spent time making, surely about its effect upon the demons. "I will save you from the demons, Mom." His words meant the world to me, no matter how silly it sounded. Around noon, when I was working in the clinic, I received a call from Alex's school. The headmistress and homeroom teacher was there at the office waiting for me. The homeroom teacher told me that Alex was a notoriously rebellious student. With the new weapon he carried might endanger the other students. The stories Alex told his classmates would made the class not able to feel safe around him. Even worse, this morning, Alex physically assaulted one of the female students in his PE class. As if the job and sleepless nights weren't bad enough, now this was the one that truly broke my camel's back. I excused myself from work and school, taking Alex home early with me. On the way home, Alex refused every question I threw at him, answering it with utter silence. I tried my best not to get mad, yet I believed it did show to the boy. "She said I'm a fatherless spine," Alex finally spilled out. Lowered his voice as if he's saying things that weren't supposed to be said. I bursted my tears out at the saying of my boy, hugging him tightly. That night, I managed to cook the dishes he liked the most. Hopefully it'd make him feel better. That's it. I'll change his school so that he'll have a better academic environment. That night, I went over to his room for a sleepover. Looking at his bookshelf, it's a surprise that I realized it's now full of books. It's been a while since the last time I cleaned out his room. So as a treat, I told him to pick one so I could read him a bedtime story. Alex, after attentively looking at his collection, brought out a red cover one with the title, The Joker's Pranks. Alex leaned his head over my lap, eagerly waiting for his long-time-coming bedtime story, read by his mom. There was once a joker, always funny, loved to joke around with his usual laughter. His hobby was to hide from the shadow, making pranks to laugh at everyone around him. At first the details were rather mild, and I loved watching my son attentively listening to the story he liked. But the more I dug into it, the more and more violent and creepy the details became. So I decided to end the story there for another book. Alex at first threw a tantrum in protest, yet against my stern expression, he could only frown. The next morning, I spent time reading about the Joker's book. The Joker will always be there behind you. He'll show you the hints, pranks you along the way. He will eventually possess your body and soul, passing on with the Joker's spirit. Okay, now that was enough, I thought to myself before I put the book away, hid it somewhere completely out of Alex's reach. A few days later, when I was just about to sleep, Alex slammed on my door, barging in. Mom, I just saw that Joker in my room," he said. Okay, now what? I brought my son closer so he could calm himself down. Alex then proceeded to describe the Joker, exactly like the one in that creepy book, even though I was sure he'd never read that at all. Okay, that's enough nonsense for tonight, Alex. Mommy wants you to return to your room and sleep. Alex was angry that I didn't believe him, yet he still followed my order and returned to his room, though not without any discomfort. I was not able to sleep again that night. Later the following morning, I prepped up his favorite pumpkin soup for breakfast. He was still angry at me, yet not showing it fully. During breakfast, Alex told me about his friend's birthday party this evening and would like me to go there with him. Of course, I agreed with him and assured him that I would arrange my work to go with him. After breakfast, I discovered many small glass shards in my soup. It was scary. I almost inhaled it. So I told Alex to stop, that I could check on his bowl whether there was any glass shards. Fortunately, there wasn't any. But at that very moment, I'm starting to wonder whether it was one of Alex's creepy pranks. I didn't do it, Mom. It must be the Joker's prank. He'll show you the hints, pranks you along the way. Alex reminding me of the crazy Joker story. It was crazy, so I lost my cool and did yell at him. He bursted out crying and ran back to his room. I cleaned up the breakfast in frustration, How could my own son do this to me? Within my mouth was a small glass shard. I spat it out and could clearly feel the metallic stench of my blood. I returned to my room, trying to rest for a bit to make up for the previous sleepless night. On the nightstand was a picture of me and my husband, taken when I was still carrying Alex with my tummy. In the picture, however, my husband was redrawn into a joker, making me feel that I am hugging such a miserable creature. Finally, at the boiling point, I carried the picture into Alex's room, questioning the boy. He insisted to never do such a thing, leaving me frustrated. Exhaustion, combining with constant sleep deprivation, left me in a very bad mood. So all I could do would be to sit in my room, thinking about everything that's happening. Suddenly, Alex yelped aloud, snapped me back from the thought flow. I could hear him sobbing and shaking very bad, though I couldn't see him anywhere in his room. It turned out he's hiding under his bed, constantly talking about closing all the doors and windows, barring the Joker from entering the home. I ran back to my room in a furious state, tore the book about the Joker into pieces, threw them all into the trash can. Later that night, the two of us dressed ourselves up for the birthday party. On our way there, I told him to stop mentioning everything about the Joker from here on out. He agreed. At the party, Alex joyfully went over playing with his friends while the mothers gathered around the living room, chatting. Emily's mom, the party holder, told us that there would be a clown hired to bring gifts for the children at the end of the party as part of the surprise. I'm feeling unwell at the mention about the clown. Right next to the children was a man dressed up in a clown outfit. That must be the surprise Emily's mom mentioned about. In just a few seconds, when I glanced back to the children, the man in the clown outfit was no longer there, but instead a horrible monster with bloody fangs and claws trying to devour the children. Instinctively, I came charging at the creature with everything I could hold on to, bashing its head with the glass of wine I happened to come across. A loud yell rang in the air and I snapped myself from the bloodthirst. I was attacking a party guest instead. Needless to say, Alex and I was ordered out of the party. On our way home, Alex only stared at me with his innocent eyes, not knowing why I was acting out like that. He looked up to me to be his role model, and yet I failed him. I couldn't stop crying. Back home, Alex went upstairs without saying any word. Later, he came downstairs telling me that there's the Joker laughing at him on his bed. I was too tired to say anything else. Everything around me swung wildly into a frenzy whirlwind. I yelled aloud, trying to let out all the frustration I had been keeping all along. Getting myself together, I dragged my exhausted feet toward the kitchen table. When I managed to open up the drawer, I could clearly see Alex within it, chopped into pieces. I yelped aloud, only to see my other hand holding the bloodied knife still warm from all the flowing crimson red liquid. I fell to the ground, and suddenly it turned out to be just another livid nightmare I was facing. I need to find my son quickly to make sure he's well, okay, and unharmed. The next morning I'd clean up the house and burn that Joker's book away. Take Alex for a joyride. Booking a flight back to my old home in Minneapolis with his grandparents. Then the boy will be free from all those monsters and demons and jokers haunting us too. I'll have Alex staying there with my grandparents. He would have a beautiful childhood, surrounded by all the lovely relatives and friends. I would return to Omaha, continuing my work as well as undergoing the psychiatric treatment at the hospital. There was no Joker at all. It's all in my head, manifest from the pain and exhaustion. It can't rain every day. It won't rain forever. The sunshine might be gone, but it will shine again after my life's been better, and we'll be back together.